You are listening to The Tribe, Episode 2, Thriving in Challenging Times. My name is Ricky Goodall, and you shouldn't blindly believe anything I'm going to share with you today. You shouldn't blindly trust anything in this episode. In fact, I encourage you to question everything. Question me, question your family, question your friends, question your government, question your religious leaders, question your celebrities, question your idols if you have any, and most importantly, question yourself. Find a truth that works for you, because I believe that truth needs no convincing. So don't blindly believe anything that I'm going to share with you today. The Tribe is a community of heretics, rebels, outcasts, oddballs, and misfits who believe that we are a higher power, a higher self, God, creator, or conscious universe pretending to be just human. If you'd like to join the Tribe, it's an online community that I've created for people like us who believe this truth. And there's no cost to join. It's www.rickygoodall.com/the tribe. I send out webcasts like this. I send out articles, videos, live online breathwork ceremonies, shamanic ceremonies, intensives, and a whole lot more. Also emails to keep you inspired. So you can sign up again, www.rickygoodall.com/the tribe. No cost to join. And we'd love to have you. We're living in some challenging times. The whole world, or most of the world at least, is in quarantine. Some places in the world, like Sweden, are not under quarantine right now. We're watching the economy plummet. We're watching gas get lower than I remember it ever being in my adult years. There's a lot of panic in the world. People are panicking about the virus, afraid to be infected, afraid to get overrun by this the sickness that can come from the virus that we're told. A lot of fear happening. People being afraid of their businesses going under, the economy crashing, the virus getting them or their family members. And there's a lot of fear and a lot of panic happening in the world. And so I want to have a conversation today about how can we thrive in challenging times? How can we find opportunities in times like these to not only survive, which is what a lot of people are just doing their best to do, just survive, but not just survive, but thrive. But thrive, but prosper and flourish. And that's what the definition of thrive is. It's to grow or develop well or vigorously, to prosper or to flourish. Now, I don't want to sound arrogant here, and some people might say, how can you even think about thriving in a time like this, in a time of panic, in a time of fear? Well, I believe that there are opportunities to thrive in all circumstances. And I'll admit, there have been times since this whole virus started. It's been a couple of months now, well, more than a couple of months since it all started, but a couple of months since we really started to hear about it. And there have been times where I've gotten scared. I've gotten worried. I've gotten fearful and thinking that, well, what's going to happen? How am I going to pay my bills? How am I going to take care of myself and my family? How am I going to take care of my loved ones? How am I going to move forward in life? But again, I really believe that there are always opportunities to thrive and to flourish in even the most challenging times. And so maybe this episode isn't for you. Maybe it's for me. Maybe it's a reminder to me for how I can thrive in these challenging times. As one of my favorite coaches and somebody who's been a big inspiration for me, Rich Litvin, once said is, we often teach what we most need to learn. So maybe this episode's for me, and that's fine. I get scared too. I'm a human being. But I believe that we can thrive in challenging times, and that's really what I want to talk about today. And when I say thrive, again, I don't mean that we're just surviving, we're just getting by. I mean really living an incredible quality of life, living a life where we're seeing the opportunities and we're seeing how this experience can benefit us in positive ways. And so I want to tell you some stories today. I want to tell you some stories of my past and times where I've been able to thrive in challenging times. I'm going to tell you some stories about other people I know who have thrived in challenging times. And I'm going to tell you what I recognize as being the common thread or the common energy behind it all. How was I able to thrive in my challenging times? How were the people I've worked with able to thrive in challenging times? How were people in our past, leaders and teachers, able to thrive in challenging times? What do they all have in common, and how were they able to achieve it? So there was a time back in 2007 when I was working for Rogers Wireless. I was working in Pictou County. It's a small area in Nova Scotia. And a year before, I fought my first professional mixed martial arts fight, my first fight ever. It was so exciting. I won Fight of the Night. I got sponsored by a company And I was weighing almost 250 pounds. So I was pretty overweight. So it was really great for my self-esteem. And I ended up working at Rogers Wireless for my second time. I worked there once before, a couple of years earlier, before I was a professional mixed martial arts fighter, and I got fired. I got fired from my job. My boss fired me, and shortly after, I ended up being homeless and jobless for a little while, sleeping on somebody's couch. And then I managed to get the job back. My friend Eldon put in a good word for me. I got him the job originally, and he was still working there after I got fired, and he put in a good word for me, and he got me my job back. And so I'm working at Rogers Wireless. I'm making great money, and there were times in the company where the boss wasn't treating us properly. He wasn't treating us well. He was pressuring us to go out drinking with him until late at night on a work night, sometimes till 10 or 11 or 12 in the evening. And then we'd have to get up at 6 or 7 the next day and go to work. And it was really a lot of pressure. If we didn't go, we were kind of humiliated in front of the company. And there were a lot of times where when sales were down, he would send out these really condescending emails and just criticizing us and ridiculing us and judging us. And there was this one time when he sent out an email and he was criticizing us for sales being so low. And there were some things he promised us to support us in our business, things like business cards and brochures, so that when we were out talking about, now this isn't a regular Rogers Wireless, this guy wanted us to be going out after work, after work hours, going to local businesses, going to coffee shops and giving out our business cards and trying to generate business. And listen, I'm really grateful for it because it made me a great salesperson and it gave me the foundation for my entrepreneurial career. But this guy was a hustler. He wanted us out everywhere, all the times, always on, always selling, always drumming up business. And so this one day he sends out an email and he's really criticizing us and ridiculing us for having low sales and the company's low. And, I know now that if my company is suffering, it's my fault, not my employees' fault. It's my leadership that's causing the suffering. But, back in these days, again, this is only 12, 13 years ago. It was different. Business was different even back then. It's not that long ago, but it was different. And not to say there weren't great leaders in the world back then. There certainly were, but this guy wasn't one of them. I mean, he was smoking in his office after you weren't allowed to smoke in businesses. And he would just shut his door and pretend it wasn't happening and so much other stuff. I won't get into it. So he sends out this email and he ridicules us. And I've always been one to want to speak my truth. Maybe that might not be so surprising to some of you listening to this. And so I responded to the email and I said, well, I'm sure that our sales would be better if you actually stuck to your agreements and gave us the support that you promised us, like business cards and brochures. Well, it pissed him off and he responded to the email and he fired me on the spot. Now, he had no grounds to fire me. I didn't have any written warnings. I didn't have any spoken warnings. I had great sales. My attendance was great. He had no grounds to fire me, but he fired me anyway. And I responded to the email and I said, you don't have any grounds to fire me. It's illegal for you to fire me right now. And he said, yeah, well, do something about it. I'm firing you. You're done. Get out. So I did do something about it. I took him to the labor board. I opened a case and I won. He had to pay me severance pay. And, before I won, I was really panicked. This job was my only income. I didn't have any money in savings. I didn't have any credit. My credit rating was just brutal at that time. I couldn't get a credit card even if my life depended on it. There was no way for me to get money. I didn't know what was going to happen. I was panicking. And so I took him to the labor board. 3 months later, I won the case. I was awarded unemployment or employment insurance. And now I've got an income, not much of an income. I think it was something like $1,300 or $1,400 a month at the time. And I decided that I didn't want to live in Pictou County anymore. I didn't want to live in this small place. I wanted to follow my dream to be a professional mixed martial arts fighter. I wanted to follow my dream to be a professional athlete. And I knew I had to get out of that small area in order to make that happen. And thankfully, the employment insurance was giving me a foundation to be able to go and be somewhere else and to make sure I had my income. So even though losing the job was devastating and embarrassing and humiliating, I took the boss to the labor board. I won eventually. He couldn't lay me off. He couldn't fire me even if he wanted to. I got the employment insurance. That gave me the foundation to move to a city versus this small town of about 10,000 people where I lived. I moved to a city with almost 500,000 people, which is the city I live in now, Halifax. I live in Bedford, just outside Halifax. I moved to this new city. I end up getting a job at a nightclub with the professional fighters that I'm now training with. I find a program through the employment insurance where I can actually apply for employment insurance to pay for my school. So I got to go to college for business, which was a dream of mine. I got to go to college for business, and not only did they pay for my tuition, but they also gave me money to live off of for 2 years while I was in school. So this experience of getting fired, as devastating as it was very humiliating. I felt degraded. I felt embarrassed in front of everyone. He fired me on the spot. I knew that he couldn't do it. I had faith, though. I had faith that things were going to get better, and I just explored my opportunities, and I recognized I didn't really want to work at that job anyway. My true passion, my true purpose at that time was to be a professional athlete, to follow my dreams, and to go to school for business so I could create my own job instead of having to work for somebody else. And this opportunity, this challenging time that I went through, created this foundation for me to be able to really find my purpose at that time, at least. Now, my purpose, being a professional mixed martial arts fighter, that's not my purpose. Now I know that it's not my purpose. But at the time, my real purpose, my real dream was to be able to inspire other people to recognize that whether they came from poverty, which I did, whether they came from social assistance, whether they came from being overweight, which I was at the time, I was almost 250 pounds, they could still follow their dreams. Even if their boss didn't believe in them, even if they got fired from their job, they could follow their dreams and they could still succeed. And that was really what my message was behind my entire fighting career. Like I said, before I got fired from this job, I just had one fight. After I got fired from this job, I had 20 more professional fights in my career. If that boss didn't fire me, I may have never left the town I was living in. I may have never moved to a new city. I may have never connected with this team where I fought 20 fights, some of them for world championships on pay-per-view television all over the country. I got paid by sponsors. I opened businesses. I was given cars. I was given trips. I was able to experience all of these amazing things. And it all started with me getting fired and being humiliated at that. So not only was I fired, but I was humiliated. I lost my foundation. I lost my way of life. I didn't know how I was going to get back on my feet, but everything worked out. I had faith that things would work out, and they did. And so that's just one of the little stories of how I personally have been able to thrive in a challenging time. I know that this might not be the same as a challenging time you might be facing right now, but keep listening. I've got a couple more stories, and maybe you'll find the underlying theme here that has gotten me through all of my challenging times. Now, fast forward a few years later, it's close to the end of my fighting career, and I decide that my business, which after I finished school for business, I opened my own professional mixed martial arts fighting company, and I decided that instead of doing a work term where I work for somebody else at the end of my business college diploma, usually you've got two options. You can either work for somebody else or you can open your own business. And so I decided I'm going to take my chance at opening my own business. And I decided to open a mixed martial arts fighting company, a mixed martial arts promotion company. I would host my own mixed martial arts events. Now at this point, I'd fought, I think it was 12 or 13 times. So I had a lot of experience being around the events. I did attempt to launch a successful event in 2007 with a business partner, but we just screwed it up completely. We lost a ton of money. And so I wanted to try it again. I wanted to try to host this event again. And so at the end of my school year, here I am, I'm getting ready to launch this event. The event happens in May. And 2 weeks before the event is scheduled to happen, my main event fighter drops out. Now he's a hometown fighter too. So he's fighting, he's from the town where I was hosting the event, which was in my hometown, Trenton, right beside New Glasgow, that small little county I told you about. This main event fighter drops out 2 weeks before my fight, and now I don't have a main event fight. And to make matters worse, he's one of the most popular fighters in the area, and he was going to be the biggest ticket seller. I didn't know what I was going to do. I just fought a fight a couple weeks earlier. I was in between fights. I was drinking alcohol. I was eating junk food. I wasn't in any shape to be fighting personally. And you're not even allowed to fight on your own card. You're not even allowed to fight on a card that you're actually promoting. But I had to figure it out. I had to find a way to save this business. I invested all this money into it, thousands of dollars at this point. The school, my college at the time, gave me a $5,000 grant to be able to put this business on. And so I've got all my own money invested. I've got the school's money invested. And if I don't find somebody to fight as the main event of this card, I didn't even have enough fights for the boxing commission to sanction the card. So in other words, if I didn't find a main event fighter, the whole show was going to get shut down and I was going to lose all of my money. I had to find out what are my options here. And so I found a loophole in the boxing commission. What I recognized was that if I transferred ownership of my business to somebody else, then I would be allowed to fight on the card. Now, usually this is unacceptable. They will not let it happen. I just begged the boxing commission, please let this happen. I'm going to transfer ownership to a friend. I'm going to step in. I'm going to fight as the main event on my own card. They finally agreed. I transferred over to a friend. I found a fighter to fight me who had just got back from Thailand. He'd been training like an animal. He agreed to fight me on a 2-week notice. And so here I am. The event's coming up. I'm running around like a chicken with my head cut off, promoting the event, selling tickets. And then the event comes, the day happens. I'm in the event. I'm walking around, making sure everything's going okay. And about a half hour before my fight, I have to go to the locker room. I have to get out of my suit that I was wearing. I have to put on my gear, my shorts. I have to put on my cup, my mouth guard, put on my gloves, start warming up. And then I have to go out and I have to fight as the main event on my own card. Now, if you're not a professional athlete, I mean, you might not understand the amount of stress and the amount of pressure that comes up when you're getting ready to perform. If you are a professional athlete or any kind of professional performer, then you know what I'm talking about. You know what it's like to be preparing for an event or preparing for a game or preparing for a competition or preparing for a performance and how much stress and anxiety you experience moving up to that. So I was going through all of that plus the stress and the pressure of running my own business at the same time. So I go in the locker room, I get ready, I get warmed up, I go out and I fight this guy and I win in the first round in front of my hometown crowd. It was a dream come true. Now the business didn't make any money, but we didn't lose any money. We broke even by a couple of $100 or something in the green. So we did make a little bit of money and I got to win the fight in front of my hometown crowd. Now again, it was all about faith. I had an option here. I could surrender. I could give up, I could lay down, I could let go, I could say, that's it, it's over, it's too much. I don't have the strength, I don't have the determination, I don't have the perseverance. But I had faith, I pushed through and I knew that I could make it work. And I did, I found a way and I made it work. Now, again, fast forward a few years later, and this story is a little bit different. Now I'm running a wellness center. I'm retired from my fighting career. I'm running a wellness center, my small little mixed martial arts promotion company. I decided not to do that again. It wasn't bringing me happiness. It was too much stress. So I transferred over into a supplement company, a nutrition company, a martial arts company called Collision Sports, where I would sell health supplements, nutrition supplements. I was one of the first people in Canada to sell products like Onnit Alpha Brain or Bulletproof Coffee. I was illegally selling grass-fed butter out of this little shop that I had. I say illegal because in Canada, I've seen it recently in different grocery stores, but until recently, selling grass-fed butter was not allowed in Canada, if you can believe it. Even though grass-fed butter and grass-fed beef is far more healthy for us than the grain-fed alternative that you see commonly in the grocery store, I wasn't allowed to sell it, but I was selling it anyway at this place. And so here I have this wellness center. I went from this little tiny nutrition business and became a nutrition coach and started working with nutrition clients. And then I decided to expand into this whole wellness center. And a friend of mine and I, we didn't know how we were going to open this wellness center. We didn't have any money. We had $0, literally $0. We didn't have any money. We didn't know how we were going to do it. He was a personal trainer. I was a nutrition coach and a martial artist with some business experience. But we decided that we were going to do it. We wrote it down on paper. We had meetings about it. We visualized it. We pushed through. And sure enough, we decided we wanted to open on January 1st. And only 5 days earlier, we finally found a location that would be willing to give us 1 month free rent. 1 month free rent. We had a month to get in there and to start making money so that we can make this dream come true. Now, we needed fitness equipment if we were going to train people. He was a personal trainer. We didn't have any fitness equipment. So we went to a local fitness supplier and we said, hey, what can you do for us? We've got this mission. We've got this vision. We really believe in what we're doing. What can you do for us? They decided to give us 3 months of no payments on our fitness equipment. 3 months of no payments. So here we go. We hit the ground running. And then we even managed to find somebody to rent an office from us in the first month. So we made $500 in our first month of opening this business. Now, we had no business opening this business. We didn't have any money. We had no experience opening a wellness center. But for 1.5 years, the business did well. And then I made the cardinal mistake, the big mistake. I grew too quick. We went from 1,100 square feet to 6,000 square feet, from $1,900 a month in rent to $6,000 a month, or $5,750 or something in rent per month. We had a bunch of offices not being used, a bunch of space not being used, and the business started sinking and sinking and sinking. I didn't want to shut it down though. I was in a lease. I was in a 5-year lease. If I shut the business down, I could be liable for thousands of dollars in rent over the 5 years. But I was miserable. I was working 60 hours a week. I was tense. I was tired. I was exhausted. I was miserable. I wasn't happy in my life, but I couldn't shut it down. How could I shut it down? I'd be humiliated. All the work, we started with $0. I'd be so embarrassed if I had to shut this business down. And a friend and shaman came into my life, and he came to my wellness center one day. This was around March, a year and 3 months later. He came to the business. My business partner had left the business at this point. It got too stressful for him. We had a falling out and had a bunch of conflict happen between us. He left the business. Now it's just me. I'm all by myself running this thing, and it's sinking fast. The shaman comes into my life and he says, "What are you keeping this place open for?" And I said, we had a vision, we had a dream, we started with $0. The universe helped us from the whole point. I know that we'll get through this. He said, "Yeah, but back then you were excited. Back then you were inspired. Back then you were loving what you're doing. You're not inspired anymore. You're not excited anymore. You don't love this. You hate this business." No, I love it. I love what we're doing here. I love this business. I know it's going to work. He said, "Ricky, you hate this business. Why are you keeping it open?" Finally, I surrendered and I said, "We're stuck in a lease. I don't know how I'm going to get out. How am I supposed to get out of a 5-year lease?" And then I realized that was the only thing holding me into this business. It was the 5-year lease. How was I going to get out of this 5-year lease? My friend says, "You're telling me that Ricky Goodall is going to let a lease be the thing that defeats him." And he was right. There's no way I was going to let that lease defeat me. There was no way. I lost thousands of dollars at this point in this business. I stayed stubbornly attached to this idea. I stayed stubbornly attached to the idea that I couldn't get out of the lease, that I was going to save it. I was miserable. I was not happy. I wasn't having fun anymore. I was doing something I didn't want to do. I wanted to live remotely. I wanted to work virtually. I wanted to have a business where I could be free to go anywhere I wanted in the world. And this business wasn't providing that for me. I wasn't living my purpose. I wasn't living my truth. I wasn't aligned with what I knew was going to make me happy. And so it wasn't working. And I've learned since then that that's really how this universe seems to work. If we're not aligned with the thing that's going to bring us joy and happiness and purpose and play, then it doesn't work. It gets hard. It gets difficult. And that's what it was doing. It was getting difficult. And he said, "You're telling me Ricky Goodall's going to let a lease be the thing that defeats him?" No way. I said, "I'm going to figure a way out." And I got a hold of the landlord. I said, "I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I got to shut this business down. I got to find you someone else to rent this place." He threatened to take me to court and to sue me and all of these different things. And within a couple of weeks, I found somebody to take over the lease. They took it over. They built a nice business there. It was a cannabis dispensary. It was a friend of mine that I went to college with, the same college I was telling you about earlier. And he took over the lease and I left the business. And as challenging as it was, I knew it was the right thing to do. Now, I had $2,000 in income after shutting that business down. I had $3,000 a month in bills. $2,000 a month in income, $3,000 a month in bills. I didn't know how I was going to rebound and get back on my feet. I wanted to be a coach. I wanted to be that person in your life that believes in you when no one else believes in you. I wanted to be able to inspire people to follow their purpose, follow their passion, align with what they know to be their truth. But I had no idea how I was going to get there. I started looking up coaches on YouTube. I started looking up people that were doing this kind of work, and I found Rich Litvin. And Rich Litvin said in all of his videos that if you're going to be a great coach, you have to be coached by great coaches. If you're going to be a great coach, you have to work with a great coach. And so I thought, this guy's great. I love his work. I love his stuff. He's British. He's got this amazing British accent. If you don't know who Rich Litvin is, if you're a coach, wow, you're missing out. He wrote the book, The Prosperous Coach. That book has transformed my life. You got to check it out. It's on Amazon. It's on Audible. I think you can get it on Audible for like $5 or something, or I could be wrong, but it's a 4-hour listen. But in terms of a book, it's a textbook for prosperous coaching. It's not about building marketing funnels. It's not about building websites. It's not about lead magnets. It's not about manipulating people and trying to sell them things and force them to buy. It's about living authentically and building a prosperous coaching business organically. And so I reached out to Rich. I sent him an email. I begged him to coach me. I said, Rich, listen, I've had this career as a professional athlete. I've got a great purpose. I know that I want to be able to help people, but I don't have money right now. I don't know how I'm going to get there. I don't know how I'm going to get on my feet. Well, Rich didn't respond to me. And I decided to take the last little bit of money I had, and I went to Peru and I experienced my first shamanic ayahuasca retreat. It was totally life-changing. I'm not going to get into it in this episode. It's not relevant to my topic today. But it changed my life. And when I got home, there was an email from Rich's administrator. And she said, fill out these forms. And she sent me 7 forms. I had to print them. I had to fill them out by hand. I had to scan them and I had to send them back. Then she sent me 7 more. I had to do it again. I had to print them, fill them out by hand, send them back. And then she sent me 7 more. I had to print them, fill them out by hand, scan them, and send them back. And what I didn't know at the time is that these were filters. These were filters to see if I was actually going to follow through, if I was going to do what it takes, or if I was going to give up when things get hard. And I followed through. I just knew if I'm willing to put the effort in here, if I'm willing to expand myself, something's going to come out of this. And sure enough, she said, one of Rich's coaches wants to have a conversation with you. And this coach, her name's Giovanna Capozza, just an incredible coach. She coached me. And in that one conversation, she put me through this really unique coaching style. It's not something that can be explained in words. I could use a bunch of words to try to explain it, but it would make it sound airy-fairy and woo-woo, and it would ruin the beauty of it. It's an intuitive form of coaching. It's not about giving advice. It's not about giving suggestions. It's just about asking questions and letting the individual find their own truth. And that's what she did. She asked me questions. She helped me find my own truth. And I swear to you, my income just exponentially changed in a very short period of time. Within I think it was 2 weeks, I signed my first $4,500 client. Now at that point, I had never worked with a client for more than $75 a session. $4,500 this client signed me for. I had a client for 6 months. And then within 6 months of working with her, I signed my first $10,000 client. And now I've been a professional coach and I've been earning my income ever since through coaching, all as a result of putting myself out there, all as a result of closing this business when I had no idea how I was going to make it happen. I didn't know how I was going to start it in the first place. And when it was time to close it, I didn't know how I was going to close it. I didn't know how I was going to get out of that lease. I didn't know how I was going to go from having this brick and mortar business with a staff of up to 10 people at one point, offering personal training and nutrition and meditation and Reiki and massage and supplement store and all of these different things, to letting all of that go and trusting only in my own ability to create my income. No more products, no more staff, no more brick and mortar business, just Ricky, just me. And I had to bank on that. I had to invest on that. I had to take a chance on myself, and so I did. And you know what? That was in 2016, and I've never turned back since. If you haven't recognized already, the common theme here has been faith. It's been faith. Now, you might say, I don't believe in faith. I don't believe in religion. I don't believe in spirituality. That's fine. Religion and spirituality, they're one thing. Faith is something else. Faith is something we can have even if we don't believe in God, creator, universe, whatever. You don't have to believe in any of that stuff, but faith is a choice. Faith is how we choose our own destiny. Faith is how we choose our own adventure. I believe that this world we're living in is like a video game. I believe it's like a video game, and that we're all living in our own subjective experience of reality, and through our faith we move mountains. Through our faith we create miracles. Now, I know that because, like I told you earlier, at 22, I was homeless and jobless. At 15, I moved out on my own. I know that faith works, and it's worked for me time and time and time and time again. I'm going to tell you another story. This one's even more edgy to share in a way like this, but I have to do it. In 2016, I went back to Peru in October of 2016, and Mother Ayahuasca said to me, she's the spirit of the ayahuasca medicine. I'm not going to get into it again right now, but she said, you're going to start a religion and you're going to bring ayahuasca to Canada. I didn't know what she meant by that. A couple of weeks later, I went to see my lawyer about some business stuff, and he said, hey, I saw you were in Peru lately. Did you know you can start a religion and you can bring ayahuasca to Canada? I said, what do you mean? He said, yeah, you can register a religious corporation and you can bring ayahuasca to Canada. Now, if you're not sure what ayahuasca is, it's a psychedelic plant medicine, maybe the most powerful psychedelic plant medicine on the planet, and it's highly illegal in most places in the world. At the time, it just shifted from being a Schedule 1 drug, which is like cocaine or ecstasy, into being a Schedule 3 drug, which means that it can be used for scientific or spiritual purposes. Now, the catch is, if you're in possession of ayahuasca and you're arrested, you can be charged for possession of this illegal drug. The chances of being convicted are really based on how good your lawyer is. If your lawyer is good enough and you have a religious corporation registered, then there's a good chance your lawyer can get you out of the charges. If you don't have a lawyer and you get charged, there's a good chance you could be convicted. So in January of 2018, we hosted our first ayahuasca retreat. It was very successful. I flew a shaman in from Peru to host the ayahuasca retreat here in Nova Scotia, Canada. Now this is Nova Scotia, Canada. If you're from here, you know what I'm talking about. But if you're not, Nova Scotia is really kind of backwards in a lot of ways. We're kind of old-fashioned. We like things to be safe. We like things to be predictable. And so to bring something like ayahuasca and a shaman here to Nova Scotia, I'm certainly not the first person who's done it, but I'm the first person who did it and really didn't hide it. I was in the front page of a newspaper because of registering this religious corporation. I was in another newspaper. I did interviews about it. I wasn't hiding it. I was putting it out there in the world. So January of 2018, we did our first retreat, and last June 2019, we did our second retreat. Now, during this retreat, it was my first retreat performing ceremony with a shaman as a shaman. So now I'm not just there organizing the retreat. I'm there singing, I'm rattling, I'm doing healing work on people while they're using the ayahuasca medicine. In our second night of the retreat, we're hosting the event and we're hosting the ceremony, and one of the participants tries to sneak away, and we catch him. And he tries to sneak away again, and we catch him. He tries to sneak away a third time, pretending he's going to the bathroom, running away when we're not looking. He gets in his truck and drives the drive away, and I have to run across the lawn. I get his keys from him. Like, what are you doing? You can't leave here. He's high on ayahuasca. He doesn't know what he's doing. We bring him back to the ceremony, and this guy was persistent. He managed to get away one last time when we weren't looking. And you would think that we didn't really think he was going to run away. We thought he was just trying to get outside. And he calmed down. We had a good conversation with him. He was fine. He really convinced us that he was going to stay, that everything was fine. And right before everyone was going to bed, he just managed to get out of our sight. He slipped away and he disappeared. Now it's 2:00 in the morning in June. It's very cold at this time in June. Here in Nova Scotia, the weather can go up and down at this time of year. It was 14 degrees, which isn't all that cold, except it was raining. So it was very cold and wet at this time of night, maybe like 12 or 14 degrees. This guy's gone. He doesn't have a winter coat. He doesn't have proper footwear. And he's gone. And we're in the middle of nowhere on a dirt road at this retreat center, way, way, way out of near 2 hours away from the nearest city, about a half hour away from the nearest town. This guy's gone. It's 2:30 in the morning. My shaman and I were like, what are we going to do? What is happening? Do we call the police? If we call the police, we've got this ayahuasca. We're doing this ayahuasca retreat. I mean, we can explain it to the police, the RCMP at the time, but we don't know if they'll believe us. And he's from another country. I mean, the chances of them actually believing us is pretty slim. We didn't know what to do. We were close to panicking. There are 15 other people at the retreat, and they're all starting to panic. Where's he at? What if he dies? What if he drowns? What if he falls and hits his head in a rock? What if he dies of exposure? What if he gets hypothermia? What if he's, all these terrible things are saying. I went upstairs and I prayed and I asked my higher self, do I have something to worry about? My higher self said, have faith. Have faith. And everyone's panicking around me. Even my shaman friend is, what do you think we should do? Like, we can't tell the police the truth. Like, what will happen? What do we do? What are we supposed to do in this situation? I said, well, we have to just wait. We have to wait and see what happens. We have to wait and see if he comes back. We searched all night. We drove all around. There are people out everywhere looking for him. Nowhere to be found. Couldn't find him. The next day we woke up. We're looking for him again. Right from 7 in the morning. We slept for maybe an hour and a half. We woke up, we're looking for him everywhere. By noon the next day, we still hadn't heard anything from him. We were panicked. We were worried. We were afraid. But again, I kept praying, and my higher self kept saying, have faith, have faith, have faith. Everyone was panicking around us. Have faith. That was the only option we had, was just to have faith. And so I did. I had faith. I prayed. I continued to pray. I stayed calm. I kept everyone else calm the best I could. My shaman kept everyone else calm the best we could. And at 2:00 that afternoon, the RCMP called us and told us they found him. He's fine. He somehow went from this small town a half hour away. He got a taxi all the way back to the city. And he went home, slept in his own bed that night. And he was totally fine. Now, the whole time he was missing, I was thinking, what are we going to do? Oh my God, I can go to jail for the rest of my life. I could have slipped into panic. I could have slipped into fear. I could have let my consciousness drop to everyone else that was there, and I could have really put myself in a negative place. But I knew that in this challenging time, my only chance was to have faith. And sure enough, I talked to the guy afterwards. He was fine. Everything worked out okay. And I even wrote a song about it called Ayahuasca Cowboys, which you can check out on my Facebook page. We choose our own destiny through our choice to have faith or our choice to give in to fear. Opportunities that we can't even possibly imagine will present themselves when we choose to have faith. Things can shift from the most challenging, the most dire, the most drastic circumstances to circumstances of opportunities and circumstances of us being able to flourish and truly prosper from having faith. There was a client I was working with named Ron, and Ron was struggling financially. He was at a point where he didn't even know how he was going to pay his bills at the end of the month. He had $400 in his bank account, and he had over a couple of $1,000s in bills coming out in only a few days. He didn't know what he was going to do. I think it was like maybe a week or a few days. And I asked him questions. I said, what do you think you should do, Ron? What do you think the best idea is? And he said, well, I heard this idea of when we're struggling financially, if we have faith and we give away some of the money that we have, that we'll get everything that we need when we need it. And I said, okay, well, what do you think? Do you think that's the best idea? And he said, I'm going to do it. He donated $200 of his $400 to the Children's Wish Foundation. He took a bunch of change, about $100 in change, and he gave it away to a bunch of people asking for change. And within a week, he had unexpected income from the government, unexpected clients in his business, and he had all the money he needed for his business. When we have faith and when we act in faith, when we take action aligned with faith, miracles can present themselves that we can't possibly imagine. I don't believe we're living in a physical reality like we think we are. I don't think that reality is physical like it appears to be. I think that it's holographic. I think that it's energetic. And I think that we have a lot more control over our experience of reality than we realize we do. Now, yeah, you might ask yourself, well, have we ever heard of these ideas? Do we know this to be true? And I mean, well, we look at even places like the Bible, and I know there might not be some religious people listening might say, I don't believe in the Bible. I get it. But it's a great book to reference stories, powerful stories. And we hear about this Moses character who was trapped between this army that was coming to kill him and all of his people and this big ocean. And what did he do? He had faith. He prayed. He had faith, and the ocean parted, and he was able to move through onto the other side away from danger. You might not believe that story, and that's fine. That story is written, I think, if for nothing else, to remind us how powerful our faith really is. Faith moves mountains. Faith creates miracles where there are no miracles to be found. I've seen it in my life, and I know that you've seen it in your life too. If you don't believe me, maybe take a few minutes, take an hour, get a piece of paper and write down every time that you had faith and something unexpected occurred. Write down every opportunity you had faith and you took action in faith and miracles came into your life. Aristotle said the mind has a mechanism of self-contradiction. Our mind will forget miracles, will forget synchronicities, will forget coincidences after they happen. It's like a sandcastle in the wind. If you wait long enough, the wind is going to blow down the sandcastle you've created. The wind or your own doubts will take apart the miracles and the magic and the faith that you've had, and it will turn into nothing again. It will turn into dust. So we have to continually practice our faith by taking faithful action, taking bold action in the direction of what we know to be true. To have faith is really to take action and to let go at the same time. To decide that something's going to happen, to decide through our action, through our will, through our decision to move forward, and to let go and to have faith that it will come true, that it will happen, that we'll be taken care of. The ways that we can thrive are to keep ourselves in this state of prosperity, in this state of abundance. We can do this through our choices. We can do this by practicing gratitude, by asking, maybe the bills are tight right now. Maybe I lost my job. Maybe clients aren't coming in. Maybe the business is suffering. Maybe the family is in trouble. Maybe the medical report isn't looking so great. What can I be grateful for? How can I shift my focus to count what is working? I once heard, what we measure grows. Well, when we measure our challenges in life, they grow. When we measure that which we have to be grateful for, well, that which we have to be grateful for grows. When we measure our blessings grow. When we measure our challenges grow. Gratitude is an easy way for us to stay in a mindset of faith and a mindset of possibility. When we serve, when we find ways to serve others by doing something we truly enjoy, then we also stay in that state of faith. We stay in that state of gratitude. Service is an easy way for us to stay in a higher vibratory experience, a higher mental state, if you will. I believe that there's a three-part formula for thriving. There's a three-part formula for really thriving in life. The first part is to give. It's to serve. It's to do things for others that make us feel great, to inspire others, to serve others, to be there for others, to do things for others, whether that means carrying groceries for somebody, whether that means cleaning somebody's house for them, whether that means coaching or doing whatever you need to do. Serve, give, put yourself out there, donate, volunteer, whatever you need to do. The second step is to ask. And I don't mean just ask higher self, just ask a higher power, just ask God. I mean, ask people. Ask people for help. At this time, we can look around the world and think, well, everyone's struggling. How can I put pressure on other people? How can I ask other people? Well, when we serve, when we give, we set ourselves up to receive. When we give, the universe says, you walk up to a wood stove, you say, don't you give me heat and then I'll give you wood. Well, that's not how it works. You have to give the wood stove wood before it gives you heat. You don't go to your garden and say, you know what, you give me tomato plants and I'll put in some seeds. Well, no, you put the seeds in first and then the tomato plant grows. We have to give before we receive. So when we ask in life, when we ask from other people, we give them an opportunity to give. We give them an opportunity to increase more of their prosperity and their abundance in life. We give them the opportunity to experience more blessings, more miracles, more magic in their lives. And so the third part of that formula, first part is to give or to serve. The second part is to ask and to really ask for what you want. Have courage to ask for what you want. The third part is to receive. And we receive through our gratitude. We receive by saying thank you. When someone says, let me pay for this for you. Oh, no, I'll get you back. I'll pay you back later. Oh, why can't we just say thank you and let them enjoy the beauty that comes from giving? When we ask someone for something and they say yes, maybe we can just let them give to us. And maybe we can give to someone else, and maybe we can serve in some other way. And if they ask something from us, sure, maybe we can give them something. But why not let them just enjoy the experience of giving? So how can we thrive in these challenging times? Well, I mean, the universe doesn't really see such a thing as challenging times. At least I don't believe. I believe that the universe sees everything as perfect as it is. I once heard, there is only love in the universe. That's all there is. And we might not understand, well, how can there be love with this virus happening in the world? How can there be love with all of the conspiracies I'm hearing about? All of the terrible things that could be happening in the world? How can that be love? Well, because we haven't learned the lesson that love is here to teach us yet. We haven't learned the lesson that maybe this quarantine is an opportunity to find our passion. Maybe this quarantine is an opportunity to let go of the job, the career, the relationship that was no longer serving us. Maybe this quarantine is an opportunity for us to align with what's true in our hearts. Maybe this quarantine is an opportunity for us to do what makes us feel alive in life. Get back to what's most important. Get connected back to our roots. Heal our relationships to our family. Heal our relationships to our loved ones, to ourselves. Maybe this quarantine is an opportunity to let go of the things that don't really matter in life and to get more connected to what does really matter. How can we thrive in these times? Well, we can give, we can serve in the way that's unique to us. I had a conversation with a friend today, a coaching conversation. He's a firefighter, and he's a really great guy. I've known him for years. He's a firefighter, and one thing he's really great at doing is making people laugh. He's really great at making people laugh. I can feel I've known it when I've known him for years, and we've trained martial arts together. He's really great at making people laugh. And so I asked him, How often do you make people laugh? He said, well, I do it all the time at work and I do it all the time at home. And I said, are there any other opportunities for you to use this extra time, this quarantine time, to make more people laugh? And he realized, yeah, there are opportunities for me to make people laugh. And that's what brings him joy. That's what brings him happiness. And I helped him recognize that as he's making people laugh and serving them and giving and doing the thing he loves to do, he's creating opportunities for him to bring more abundance and prosperity to himself, to raise his self-esteem, to help him feel better about himself. And in turn, he's serving other people and making them feel better. These are challenging times we're living in. It's valuable for us to bring our light to the world, to bring our unique service to the world, to put ourselves out there in ways that are going to help other people feel great too. I guarantee you, whoever you are, you've got special talents. You've got special gifts that you can offer the world at this time. Maybe you won't get paid directly from it. Maybe you won't see the money come back to you directly. But I promise you, if you live in a state of service, if you live in a state of gratitude, live in a state of giving simply for the sake of giving, it says in the Gita, the highest level, and these are my words, my interpretation, but the highest level of service is serving without selfish desire, serving without trying to get anything back from where we're serving. Because we recognize that when we're serving the universe, we're serving nature, we're serving a higher power. Now, you might ask, well, didn't you just say that you give, that sets you up to receive? Yeah, see, there's the difference. We give for the sake of giving, knowing that nature will take care of us. We don't give because we expect nature to give us something. Oh, I put out an hour of work. I better get paid for that hour somehow from nature. It's not like that. We give for the sake of giving. We give because it feels good to give. We give because it feels good to give. We serve because it feels good to serve. I believe that's our true purpose. It's to experience life and to serve the universe in a way that feels most inspiring to us. My friend Alen says, it's to do the work that only you're equipped to do, only you're able to do, that's unique to you, to be the person that you're meant to be and to serve in the way that's most inspiring to you. How can we thrive in these challenging times? Well, it's easy. We serve, we give, we put ourselves out there, we align with our passions and our purpose. We have faith that things are going to work out. We ask for what we need. We rely on our community. We reach out to people. We connect to people. And we allow ourselves to receive by practicing gratitude, by counting the blessings in our lives. We thrive by having faith and practicing gratitude, by having faith that this too shall pass. These times will change. Everything changes in the universe. Nothing stays the same. We've got an option here. You can either look at how bad things could get. Oh, they're going to force us to do things we don't want to do. We're going to be stuck in this house forever. We could be here for another year or 2 years. We could be here for who knows how long. I'm going to lose my business. How am I going to pay my bills? How am I going to make ends meet? Or we can choose to have faith. We can choose to believe, you know what? This is the greatest opportunity of my lifetime. This is the greatest opportunity I've had in my adult life. This is a chance for me to get connected to what matters most to me. This is a chance for me to get honest about the things that really bring me joy and happiness. This is my chance to dig deep and to heal myself. This is my chance to let go of the job, the relationship, the career, the business that wasn't serving me, and to get connected back to the things that I always knew were bringing me happiness in my life. Maybe you don't know what those things are. Maybe you're not sure what your talents or your gifts are. Try and explore. Find out what works for you. Find out what things bring you joy and bring you happiness. Try new things. Try new skills. I'm going to order a model car soon. I'm going to try car modeling, building those little model cars. I tried one once when I was a young kid. I think I was 10 or 11 years old. And in the back of my mind, I always thought I'd like to do that, but I never set aside time to do it. And now with all this extra time in quarantine, I've realized, oh, you know what? That is something I would really enjoy doing. I think I'm going to try that. I think I'm going to take up that skill. This podcast, this webcast, I've done webcasts in the past. I wasn't really that passionate about them. But you know what? I feel really passionate about this work right now. And this webcast is a result of me deciding, you know what? I'm not feeling great right now because I'm not feeling inspired. What would make me feel inspired? And this conversation I'm having with you right now, the second one I've had in this webcast, this conversation is a result of that question. How can I feel more inspired? How can I serve? How can I give? How can I do what I love to do? Speaking, communicating, sharing, teaching. How can I do that right now, stuck in my house? trapped in quarantine? How can I do that in the position that I'm in right now? How can I use this as an opportunity to find what really lights me up? And the truth is, I'm not stuck in my house. I can go to my yard. I can go for a walk. I can drive to the grocery store. There are places in the world where that's not actually an option right now. And there are other places in the world where people are really, really suffering from deep poverty, deep sickness, deep illness. And thankfully, I'm so grateful to live in the place that I live in the world, because I do have grocery stores just down the road. I can walk there if I really choose to. I've got a car to drive if I need it. I've got a home to live in. And maybe you're listening and maybe you're struggling, and I feel for you. But your faith is the most powerful weapon you have against this virus, against this quarantine, against these challenging times. So how do we thrive in challenging times? Well, we have faith. We have faith. We have gratitude. These are choices. These are choices. And believe me, it's challenging to have gratitude sometimes when you're feeling like everything's going wrong around you. I have definitely been there, and I've been there not that long ago. And as we shift and as we dig deep and find out what's really going on for us, I don't know about you, but I figured out that the thing that was really holding me back was that I wasn't spending enough time doing what I love. I wasn't spending enough time feeling inspired. I wasn't spending enough time doing things that make me feel joyful. And it just so happens that the things that make me feel most joyful in life are being able to serve and to give and to experience and to connect with others and to do things that I really enjoy doing. This is episode 2 of The Tribe, Thriving in Challenging Times. I hope you enjoyed this webcast. If you've enjoyed it, please subscribe to whatever you're listening. If you're on YouTube, subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'll be sending out more of these. If you're on SoundCloud, subscribe to my SoundCloud channel. And share this episode with others. Share this with someone else who could use a little bit of faith in their life right now, a little bit of inspiration, a little bit of getting connected back to what matters most to them. If you'd like to join my online community, I'd love to have you. Join the tribe. You'll get more than just these webcasts. You'll get videos, you'll get articles, you'll get blogs, you'll get online ceremonies, online intensives. There's no cost to join. www.rickygoodall.com/the tribe. I'd love to have you there. Remember, the tribe is a community of heretics, rebels, outcasts, oddballs, and misfits who believe that we are a higher power, higher self, God, creator of a conscious universe, pretending to be just human. Pretending to be just human. We're so much more than that. And our faith is how we get connected and how we tune into that place. All of the universe, all of creation is held together simply through faith. It's held together through faith. We don't have to believe and trust that the sun's going to come up tomorrow. We have faith it's going to come up, and it comes up. We have faith that when we cut our hand, it's going to heal, and it heals. If we can apply that same mentality to the bigger challenges in our life, we'll recognize that they'll disappear just as quickly as the night sky changes into the morning. Have faith, my friends. Have gratitude, my friends. Count your blessings. Count what's working, and I promise you, things will change and they will get better. Life is going to be better than it's ever been. This quarantine, this situation we're in, if we have faith and we believe, we'll be moving toward a time that we never imagined. We'll be moving toward a time of true prosperity, true enlightenment, true abundance. And we have that inside of us, and we can get there together through our faith. Thanks for listening, everyone. I'll see you next time.